December 16th, 1971. The day when Indian armed forces brought the Pakistani army to its knees. Pakistan's armed forces laid down their arms at a surrender ceremony in Dhaka before the joint command of the Indian Armed Forces and Bangladesh's Mukti Bahini, also known as the Bangladeshi Forces. The war's end also resulted in the unconditional surrender of the Pakistan Army and subsequent secession of East Pakistan into Bangladesh. India gave people of Bangladesh their independence. Pakistan lost half of its country. A new nation was born, Bangladesh.
Now as the Pakistani armed forces have surrendered in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is free, it is pointless in our view to continue the present conflict.
Pakistan surrendered with 93,000 soldiers, the largest military surrender after the Second World War. It was also the first time when all three divisions, the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy, fought together. In fact, it was for the first time since India's independence that the Indian Navy was engaged in an offensive role on such a large scale. The war changed the geopolitical landscape of the South Asia region forever. Bangladesh emerged as the seventh most populous country in the world. It did not happen overnight. Almost 9 months before Bangladesh got its independence, the country woke up and chose its destiny. The Bangladesh Liberation War began after the Pakistani military junta based in West Pakistan, led by their president Yahya Khan, launched Operation Searchlight against the people of East Pakistan on the night of March 25th, 1971.
25th March, in fact, the bloodshed began. They were preparing for a long time, secretly. I will say, right from the beginning of the division, partition, they had the plan to grab us. They thought they will just smash. They will run over the innocent people, Dhaka University, and the Ramna race course where the Bangabandhu spoke on 7th March, the instructional. That was in fact the declaration of the liberation and independence and the freedom of our country. That place and the firing took place all over.
In the early hours of March 26th, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, a Bangladeshi politician and statesman, declared independence from Pakistan.
It was declared by Bangabandhu through a clandestine radio, which was secretly done at his 32 residential house. It was on 26th March 1971, he declared, from today, Bangladesh is independent.
In 1970, his party, the Awami League, secured an absolute majority in the Pakistani general elections, the country's first, winning more seats than all parties in West Pakistan, including Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's Pakistan People's Party. The Pakistan military annulled the results of the 1970 elections and arrested Rahman, who was the prime minister designate. His declaration coincided with a ruthless show of strength by the Pakistani military. It was a systematic elimination of nationalist Bengali civilians. Tanks rolled out on the streets of Dhaka. 200,000 to 3 million Bengali people were killed. 200,000 to 400,000 Bengali women were raped. It was a genocide.
I have seen many genocide and torturing and firing and killing of the Bengalis. I have seen in my own eyes in Chittagong, that is naval port area.
A lot of women, because they were majority of the majority of refugees who came to India were Hindus, and they were massacred. They left there with their older people and behind them, and they were very bad shape, and they were very much looted, massacred, killed. And I'll tell you later, when I went in Bangladesh, in East Pakistan, I saw, because we crossed that part, and it was maybe in August, September, there was a monsoon. So there were a lot of women, or there was skeleton tied to their neck with a rope, still with the matka, still lying, and you can see hundreds of them.
From 7th March to 25th March, many days gone, 18 days. So these people got enough time to prepare. So they were calling back the butcher from Baluchistan, Tika Khan. They never wanted to hand over power to Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib and to shut down for forever and bring Bengalis, Bangladeshis, slaves in a declared fashion.
Commodore A.W. Chowdhury was one of the brave soldiers of Mukti Bahini. Along with other war veterans, he was recently honored at the port of Mongla in Bangladesh to celebrate the historic occasions of Mujib Borsho and 50 years of Liberation War. The government declared the period from March 17, 2020 to March 26, 2021 as the Mujib Borsho, marking the birth centenary of the Bangabandhu, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. To mark this occasion, 2 Indian naval ships, INS Kulish and INS Sumedha, also visited the port. This is the first visit by any Indian naval ship to Mongla. The last time it happened was 50 years ago. It was a covert operation. On the 9th and 10th of December 1971, 2 gunboats named Padma and Palash, jointly manned by the Indian Navy and Mukti Bahini personnel, sailed up the Pusur River, attacking various Pakistani installations at the port. Stationed in the French city of Toulon at the time, Commodore Chowdhury was one of 8 Navy personnel who defected from the Pakistani Navy. He decided to join the Bangladesh Liberation War on hearing the March 26th declaration. And to help fulfill his dream, he looked at India.
When there was no navy, we 9 submariners responded with the call of Bangabandhu, Sheikh Mujib, we are coming, we will join. And finally, we moved out on 29th March. And out of 9, 1 guy was from Sylhet. Quietly, he went to England. I bought the train ticket for Barcelona. My only intention was that time, cross the border, France, because French will help Pakistan. So we got the ticket in the evening. Instead of waiting or spending more time in hotel, so boarded the train. Next day morning, straightway we are inside the Barcelona. That has given us a big sigh.
They took shelter in Indian mission, asked for asylum. The New Delhi was contacted, and New Delhi granted them and saying that bring them to Delhi. And after reaching Delhi, well, Indian Intelligence Bureau and all that, they contacted Indian Navy that yes, if you can make use of these 8 lads, those are submarine Pakistan Navy of Bengali origin.
On reaching India in April 1971, it was the Indian Navy who helped them prepare for a covert mission that is believed to have changed the course of the war. These 8 hopefuls were joined by hundreds of young male refugees who fled from then East Pakistan due to the brutal crackdowns. And then started the Indian Navy's secret mission of turning these young men into combat divers. It was dubbed Operation X, known to very few, even within the Indian Navy. We spoke to another war veteran, Veer Chakra recipient Commander Vijay Prakash Kapil, who was involved in this operation that was carried out in Plasi, a village on the east bank of Bhagirathi River in the Indian state of West Bengal.
From end April, we started looking for the suitable site. Eventually, we found it in Plasi, famous Plasi, where the Battle of Plasi took place. And because it was very near the border, within about 20 miles or so. River Bhagti ran alongside, and the current conditions were almost the same as we would expect in East Pakistan. The naval commando operation, or rather we call it the waterborne saboteurs attack on East Pakistan, it started in, the preparation started in April. We set up the camp in April. May, June, the training got into full swing. Initially there was a plan of training only about 100, but then our top brass, that means the Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral Nanda, thought pretty big, and he said that why not much more. No number was laid at that time, but we had to roll out people, as many as possible in shortest possible time, because time was always at premium.
Diver instructor Petty Officer Chiman Singh too used his expertise to train the boys.
They were trained in just to swim with the tide and just camouflage themselves with the grass weeds and all that, and without disturbing, they carry the limpet mines for the big target like ship, pontoon, barge or something like that, or bridges underwater.
After training for 4 months, they were ready to carry out the attacks of August 15th at various ports. The trained Bangladeshi soldiers were then ready to disrupt the maritime commerce lines that sustained the Pakistani army in its eastern province.
This, particularly this attack was Bangladesh, or say East Pakistan at that time, was basically a riverine country where waterways play a major role for transportation of men, material, and anything you can think of. Monsoons were coming, so we knew it's going to play havoc in that part of the country, and even our area of West Bengal is the same, not very much different. So we knew the conditions of the terrain, and according to that, the attack dates were never known because they were kept at close to the chest with the top brass.
The August 15th attacks were a part of Operation Jackpot, a code name for the 3 major operations undertaken by Bengali Mukti Bahini against Pakistani forces. It is interesting to know that 2 Bangla songs had a role to play in the early attacks. The first one was by singer Pankaj Malik, who sang a rendition of a popular Rabindranath Tagore song. And the second was by artist Arti Mukherjee. Both were played on a secret frequency only known to a handful of people, including Commodore A.W. Chowdhury.
All India Radio played 2 songs. 2 Bengali songs, which were relayed through the Agartala. And all these leaders were given, besides other equipment, a transistor, whose markings were all rubbed off, so that even they get caught, all the equipment given to them had no markings. Even the clothes, the marking and the tags were taken off. So even if anybody was caught, it could not be traced back to India.
So the first song will give me, if the target is here, I'm starting from here, 2 days. So I have to adjust. I have only 2 days in hand to reach here. So how do I go? Go running, go walking, go how? It all depends on leader. Number one. Second song, Amar Putul Ajke Jabe Shoshur Badi. That is 24 hours. Action signal. This is the second and the final song. It says you're going for wedding. You are going for wedding, but you are also going for not coming.
After the attacks of August, several other offensives were carried out to paralyze Pakistani bases in the east, including a mission by Force Alpha. Force Alpha was a maritime task force comprising 2 gunboats of the Flower class, Padma and Palash, loaned from the West Bengal government, Chitrangda, a watercraft of the Border Security Force, and INS Panvel, a seaward defense boat, as its command ship. Panvel was also the Indian Navy's smallest acquisitions from the erstwhile USSR. We spoke to Lieutenant Suvesh Kumar Mitter, who was commanding officer of the MV Padma. He oversaw the process of getting the gunboat ready for the operation.
You see, this Padma and Palash are the 2 boats that was used as hovercrafts in Calcutta, and they are built by GRAC, that is Garden Shipbuilders and Engineers. Now these 2 boats were acquisitioned from the Calcutta Port Trust and converted into warship for the Mukti Bahini. Though except the ship, nothing was indigenous. My 2 buffer guns, they were made in Sweden during the Second World War. So there was nothing of Indian origin. It was carefully removed that in case of our capture, so that the East Pakistani authority cannot say that these are the Indian ships. And we were instructed, we are given a 9mm pistol, that in case of it is better to get killed, commit suicide than to get captured by the Pakistanis.
Leading seaman Mohammad Jalaluddin, an ex-naval officer of Pakistan, too participated in the operation. Having served in the Pakistani army, he knew that his former country did not have the kind of technology that Padma was equipped with.
I had a long talk with the commander, some of the sir, with these 2 gunboats. We can lay big mine in the channel, which the weight of that mine was 250 kg each mine. I was confident that Pakistan Navy will not be able to fight with us.
Commander Mohan Narayan Rao Samant, an outstanding submariner who had earlier commanded a frontline submarine, was the senior officer of this force. Under his supervision, Force Alpha carried limpet mines, explosives, small arms and other equipment necessary to undertake underwater sabotage, scuttling and boarding operations.
The mines which are supposed to be laid from the aircraft, that was laid by the Padma and Palash.
Carried out between December 7th to December 10th, the task assigned to Force Alpha was to undertake a maritime attack on the port complex of Chalna and Mongla, thereby achieving an offensive on the adversary from the sea, and to dislocate its forces. But in a heavy crossfire near port of Khulna, both Palash and Padma were accidentally destroyed by the Indian Air Force.
Before we could identify ourselves and exchange signals, they released rocket on us and commenced firing on us. I was injured. I have lost about, say, 7 of them spot dead on board ship.
By December 16, 1971, the Pakistan Navy had suffered heavy damage. Almost all their gunboats and their destroyer, PNS Sylhet, as well as the long-range submarine PNS Ghazi, were lost in the conflict. Mitter and Chiman Singh were taken as prisoners of war. They were among those rescued by the Indian forces.
Then on 16th, it was I think around 10-11, I don't remember precisely, and we saw the olive green, the door opened and a light, and we couldn't see with all the bright light for so many days and all that. So we saw these olive green Indian Army officers and the division commander and all that. They entered, a couple of, say 6, 7, they entered together, and we saw East Indian Army, and he said, "Okay lads, morning," and they gave us some chocolate and petting and all that from general, and the medicos, they just put a saline or something, taking all these checkup and all that, and then we were airlifted. We were put in the ambulance, and then we were airlifted to Barakpur.
The Pakistan Navy had never maintained a squadron of warships in the eastern wing of Pakistan. Rear Admiral Muhammad Sharif, the first 4-star admiral of the Pakistan Navy, was forced to surrender his command to Indian Navy's Vice Admiral Nilakanta Krishnan, the Commander-in-Chief of the Eastern Naval Command. Admitting defeat, Admiral Sharif later said, and we quote, "We, Navy, had no intelligence and hence were both deaf and blind with the Indian Navy and Indian Air Force pounding us day and night." These are just a few tales of valor. Pakistan's full-scale war with India lasted only 13 days. It was quick and decisive, a triumph for India and Bangladesh. During the Bangladesh Liberation War, 10 million men, women and children from then East Pakistan took shelter in the Indian states of West Bengal, Tripura, Assam and Meghalaya. India was the first country to recognize Bangladesh. 5 decades have passed. In 2021, India awarded the prestigious Gandhi Peace Prize to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, considered the father of the nation in Bangladesh. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Dhaka on March 26th to attend the celebration of the country's 50th year of liberation from Pakistan and the centenary year of its founder, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's father.
भारतीय सेना के उन वीर जवानों को भी नमन करता हूं जो मुक्ति युद्धों में बांग्लादेश के भाई बहनों के साथ खड़े हुए थे।
The two countries are also celebrating 50 years of the establishment of diplomatic ties.
इक्कीसवीं सदी में अगले 25 वर्षों की यात्रा बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। एक साथ मिलकर आगे बढ़े, ये इस पूरे क्षेत्र के विकास के लिए उतना ही जरूरी है और इसलिए आज भारत और बांग्लादेश दोनों ही देशों की सरकारें इस संवेदनशीलता को समझकर इस दिशा में सार्थक प्रयास कर रही है।
The government of India was also beside us during our good and bad times. This time, India hands over 109 ambulances, this time as a gift of their amicable gesture for the people of Bangladesh. I extend my heartiest thanks to Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, his government and the people of India. And before that, India had cooperated with us and gifted us the vaccinations for coronavirus.
The friendship between India and Bangladesh is historic, and this is an opportunity for both countries to enhance cooperation.